feature. There's no room for a Jew. We are porcine feature. Pigskin, no creep. Carve up on my skin. If the worst will be.
Some years ago, Simon Grove, a writer and journalist from Bristol, went missing under suspicious circumstances. His whereabouts are unknown, and no one has any further information of his whereabouts on the day he went missing. The investigation was finished due to no further progress. Years later, this has changed, and recordings and interviews, other documents that Mr. Grove was conducting days before his disappearance have been found buried in Castle Park. Mr. Grove was interviewing and researching into some of the more unusual characters of Bristol, and to hear their stories. Here are these recordings. The first recording was found at a local hospital, and a doctor speaking to a patient, Mr. Richard Clock. Information on why Mr. Grove had this recording is unknown.
Jennifer, please send in Mr. Clock.
Certainly, Doctor. Mr. Clock, Dr. Ratchet will see you now.
Ah, Mr. Clock, have a seat. What can I help you with?
I've been urinating blood.
I see. Well, Mr. Clock, urinating blood is known as hematuria. In men your age, it's most likely caused by rigorous physical activity. I'm going to ask you some questions now to ascertain the root cause. It's important that you answer as accurately as possible. Do you have an energetic hobby like sprinting or football or, well, anything that involves running after and catching up with people?
Well, I don't recall.
Okay, well, it could be from a blow to the kidney. Tell me, do you often take part in more red-blooded sports like rugby or wrestling? Or anything that involves violently tackling people to the ground?
Every night, I don't remember.
Okay, well, I must ask now, and this is quite a delicate question, but I must ask about your sex life. You look concerned, Mr. Clock. I appreciate that talking about sex can be uncomfortable, but you must understand that this is quite necessary to get to the bottom of the bleeding. So, no matter what two consenting adults do behind closed doors, there's absolutely no reason to feel shame or guilt in admitting it. You've gone quite pale, Mr. Clock. Trust me, in my 40 years of practicing medicine, I've heard it all. You can't shock me.
Well...
Besides, I am a doctor, and I must respect patient-doctor confidentiality at all times.
Oh. Well, I must say, Doctor, that is a huge relief.
Unless lives are in danger, of course, then it goes without saying that I would report you to the police immediately. Now tell me, do you regularly have rough, forceful, even brutally violent sex?
I have no recollection of such events occurring.
Mr. Clock, your memory problems concern me and may well be a factor of your condition. Tell me, on average, how much would you say you drink?
Finally, a question I can answer. I'd say I drink about 9 to 12 pints a day.
My goodness, Mr. Clock, that could mean severe kidney damage is causing you to urinate blood. You must cut down on your alcohol consumption at once.
Alcohol? I drink their blood. Oops.
Jennifer?
Yes, Doctor?
Call the police.
Since the discovery of this tape, the police have tried to track down Richard Clock to no avail. Also, they managed to track down Nurse Ratchet and her assistant Jennifer, but unfortunately they were too distraught to give any information. This next tape was found from an interview Mr. Groves did at Horfield Prison with an inmate, and here is that tape.
I've always had a sense of humour, you see. Women loves a man with a sense of humour. It was my wit and banter that got me in with my first wife and my second wife. Unfortunately, once I've had a few ales, the humour get taken over by rage, which is what got me into this pickle and why I'm widowed twice. I always remember my first day in prison, see, was in this big van with 4 other convicts. When we pulled up to the prison, I thought I'd have a bit of a laugh with them, and I said, "Here, who's organised a whip round for the driver?" Like, none of them even flinched. As I got off the van, I got into the prison entrance to hand my belongings and get all my stuff for my cell. And one of the officers said in my ear, he goes, "So, you're a wife murderer, are you? That's how you get off, eh? Murdering wives? That's your speciality, eh?" So I thought I'd have a bit of a laugh with him, and I said, "Yeah, it is. And I takes bookings if any of you lads needs a hand." No, I did laugh at that. Unfortunately, those guards battered me to a pulp. Oh, when I come to, they took me to my cell, and I was greeted by my cellmate, and they all called him the Beast. He looked like a lad who enjoyed a laugh, so I thought, I'm gonna get on with him. And when the officers left and closed the door, the Beast come right up to my face and said, "So, top or bottom?" I thought, here's my chance to get some banter going, so I said, "Here, none of that hanky-panky, let's decide who gets which bunk first." And I did laugh, and unfortunately he wasn't talking about which bunk we chose. I'd actually rather not talk about that night, if it's all the same with you. Yeah, anyway, the next morning I went down to the canteen to have some breakfast. As I walked in, everyone was looking at me, whispering, "Wife killer," repeatedly, like, and I thought, here we go, giving the new guy some sticks, some first day hazing. Well, anyway, I'm queuing for my grub, and I see at the back of the kitchen there's 2 lads pulling the pubes out from their trousers and sprinkling it in some poor sod scrambled eggs. And I thought, knowing my luck, those are my eggs. Why, turns out they were. I didn't want to be a stick in the mud, so I thought I'd give back as much as I could take. So I said, "Here, someone's put scrambled eggs in my pubes." Why, no one laughed. In fact, one of the kitchen lads was scolding hot tea in my face. Anyway, 3 months down the line, I'm back in my cell, and I wakes up to the Beast's legs swinging left and right from the roof. Hung himself, didn't he? And I ran to the door and shouted for the officers. They come running in, all looking horrified. They was rushing to get him down, and I kept shouting, "He's all right, he's just hanging around." Oh, none of the officers heard that joke. Neither did they hear my confession to hanging the Beast myself. Some other convicts heard it, though, and then I was known as the Beast Slayer. Now I'm known as the Beast. Part 2. Why, you're a brave lad, ain't you? Coming into my cell for an interview. I tell you what, I'm in the mood for a bit of a laugh. Officer, close that door!
We approached Horfield Prison after finding this recording, and they assured us that Simon Groves left the prison unharmed after this. We looked at the whereabouts of the the convict, but were told that he was being sent to Parkhurst prison, and he is currently just having a laugh. This next one was a recording that Simon Groves was doing, speaking to a local man called Denzil, and talking about his desires.
Is it just speaking to the microphone? Alright. Hello, my name is Denzil, and I have an addiction. I'm addicted to having sex with older women. Not older women like Cat from EastEnders older. I mean older as in Nora Betty from Last of the Summer Wine old. I don't usually tell people as they don't understand. They ask questions like, doesn't it sound, smell or feel horrible? And you know what? I don't mind it. The sound of wet socks hitting clay, the smell of someone dropping a pile of tuna in an antique shop, and the feel of rubbing up against an old leather sofa. I love it. Unfortunately, there are downsides to it. Never had a relationship last longer than 2 months, as the ladies I like don't usually have long left to live. Also, I'm banned from running the over 80 swimming lessons at the leisure centre for unprofessional behaviour. I said to them I was only trying to help them put on their swimsuits, but they wouldn't listen. My parents, they never saw signs. The Golden Girls box set that I have, why I always used to come home with bags full of old ladies' clothes from the charity shop, my frequent trips to the old care home down the road. I visited 3 times in one night once, and my parents never even questioned it. Hey, I have 2 chicks waiting outside if you want to hang around and make a bit of a party. Nah, don't sit there and shake your head. They won't mind. They're both senile, so they'll forget by the time it's done. Nah, come on, Gladys Bay, come on.
We found Denzil hanging outside a St. Peter's hospice, claiming he was just playing the field. We spoke to him about the interview, which he claimed Simon left after the party, but was never seen by him after that. Join us next week, though, where we'll be listening to some more Simon's recordings, and we'll be hopefully getting closer to find out the whereabouts of Simon Groves.